Hi. I don't know why I did a hand flip. Hi and welcome to Conversations That Matter. This is our new podcast with Sarah Davies and my colleague and friend over here, Richmond Stace.
Hi, I'm the pain coach. I specialise in chronic pain. What do you do?
So I am a psychotherapist and I specialise in trauma. So arguably we both work with pain, just in different ways.
Yeah.
I work more with the emotional pain, and I guess you work more, I mean it is emotional pain, but more presentations of chronic pain with physical or somatic symptoms.
Yeah. Well, that's what started our conversations. And we've gone all over the place with our conversations. We have loads of conversations about the crossover in our work, but also what we bring individually, and that's what we wanted to share here. You know, we've had conversations, but also analysing those conversations. You know, what makes a conversation? What's the importance of the conversation? You know, why do they matter? Conversations with other people, but really where we wanted to start today was the conversations with ourselves and what that means and why that's important, whether you be a therapist, a clinician, a coach, a teacher, a parent, a loved one, because the skills and the ways of being that we think are important for our work also are important for any relationship.
Yeah, conversations are really important. The conversations that we have with other people matter, but I guess the elements or what about those conversations matter will be different for everybody. And the conversations that we have with ourselves are vitally important. The way we relate to ourselves, the way we speak to ourselves, the thoughts that we have about ourselves, the views we carry about the world, how that kind of gets transferred out into our conversations with other people.
Yeah. So what is it about the way we relate to ourselves that impacts on the way or influences the way we relate to others?
Everything. That's a big question.
It is a massive question.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, I think, you know, the first thing that comes up for me there is the beliefs that we carry about ourselves. And an example of that might be that if through my life experiences I now carry a negative belief about myself, that I'm not good enough, or I'm unwanted, or I'm unlovable, or I'm not safe, then that will massively impact that's my relationship with myself. These views, the beliefs that I have about myself are impacting on the way that I'm in conversation with myself, but they're also going to come through and impact on the way that I have conversations with other people. You know, if there's a negative belief in there that I'm not good enough, I imagine there's going to be a part of me that will be on a mission to prove my worth to the world. And that there's kind of a discrepancy there, because I'm looking for external validation when actually really I need to repair the relationship that I have with that part. So the wound is I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And that's then coming out in lots of different... I might become a workaholic, for example, and constantly try and prove my worth. But the real repair then in that is there is no amount of external validation that will ever be enough, because the belief is still there. So until I then work with that wound to repair and heal that so that I no longer carry that belief, and it doesn't have to be the direct opposite, say like I am good enough. It can just be like I'm okay as I am.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be some grand, you know, kind of powerful opposite. It can just be like I'm okay as I am in the world. That will massively change how I show up. That will massively change that drive to need external validation or need to prove my worth, because if I know that I'm worth that, if I know that I'm good enough, it kind of falls away then. It's kind of, I don't want to use the word irrelevant, because I think it will have relevance, but it is significantly reduced.
Yeah.
I'm not driven by what you think of me. and if you think I'm good enough, because I know I'm good enough, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's not in an arrogant way of like, oh, I'm good enough, going around in the world thinking, that you are bigger or grander than somebody else. It's just like knowing that I get a seat at the table, that, I'm part of the club.
Yeah.
I belong.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's if whatever existing beliefs you have, that's what you're living. And in a sense then, you will continue to look for the evidence of that via relationships with others and how the world shows up for you. There's good evidence that we can say our beliefs are literally shaping our experiences in the world we see, because and when I say beliefs, I don't mean just the things that you're thinking. These are deep beliefs in our body systems that have been learned from right from the start, that are then shaping our thoughts, our feelings, our perceptions, our sensations, and how that all shows up in one. Everything shows up. There's only one experience. You can't divvy those up. So say, I've got this feeling in my body. Well, I'm only aware of it because I'm conscious. But sort of going back a little bit then, just so people can get the sense of beliefs. I mean, you talked about this, the worthiness, am I good enough? Where would that belief come from? Because you're not born with it, right?
No.
So where does that come from?
I've never met a 2-day-old baby that has this deep sense of not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
So we pick up beliefs through our experiences, the way that you just said something about the way the world shows up for you. But I think how you show up for the world will massively influence how the world shows up for you.
Yeah.
Because it's viewed through that same lens. We pick up these beliefs through our experiences. If you're given the message that you're not acceptable, that your feelings don't matter, or that, often kids can't separate their behaviour from them.
Yeah.
So if we as parents or adults then are kind of formulating judgments or opinions on children's behaviour, they don't have the cognition or the awareness to separate that and say, oh, my behaviour is not acceptable. It just is, I'm not acceptable.
Yeah.
And that comes through our messaging. We're not really taught how to communicate effectively as adults, let alone with children. A lot of modelling goes on.
Yeah.
For kids, when they see other adults converse and how relationships in the household are, they will pick up on that. Prime example is, if a toddler, or 4-year-old, 5-year-old, doesn't matter the age really, has extreme feelings of anger or overwhelm, they don't have the maturity to know how to regulate that emotion.
Yeah.
So they're going to look for someone to co-regulate with them. So they're going to look for an appropriate adult to then be able to hold that, name it, because again, they don't have the language to name this. I just have this feeling, I'm experiencing something that I have no control over, and I'm overwhelmed with it. So then they're going to look for an adult, an appropriate adult, to then co-regulate. Okay, I can see that you're angry, or I wonder if what you're experiencing is anger.
Yeah.
Because I've just said you can't watch one more cartoon before bed, or you can't, have an ice cream before dinner. If our response is to then kind of say, your behaviour is not acceptable, and one of the classic examples of that is the naughty step or go to your room, which then gives the child the message that I'm not acceptable. I don't get to be part of this if I have these emotions. So I don't get to be part of this community or my little tribe, my family, if I have these emotions.
Yeah.
Because these emotions aren't acceptable, which therefore makes me unacceptable when I have them.
Yeah. So you're outed.
And then you're in isolation with the feeling that you needed help with in the first place.
Yeah.
So now you're alone in the world.
Yeah.
You're not,
so
but
scared,
that's the message.
alone, feeling separate from the group, which brings up a lot of primal protectiveness and defensiveness, because when you're outed from the group, you've got to survive. So anything like that, you can only be in a survive state, and this is a little kid who doesn't know what to do with that.
Yeah. I guess this is where attachment theory comes in pretty strong. Gabor Mate talks about this a lot, so this isn't, you know, I don't want to kind of sit here as though I'm the only person talking about this. But it's very much that we sacrifice our authenticity in order to maintain the attachment, because the attachment is what's going to keep me alive.
Yeah.
I can't survive in the world as a 2-year-old, 1-year-old, 5-year-old without an adult. I can't cook, I can't clean, you know, I can't clothe myself, I have no money. There's no way that you can survive if you're living in a cave, so tribal days. You know, you can't hunt and keep yourself warm and have the nurturing and love that you need to develop as a human being. If you're in isolation. To maintain my survival, I have to give up my authenticity. I can't be authentically in the emotion of anger or sadness or whatever is deemed to be unacceptable, because then I'm in isolation. So there's that real discrepancy, and this is where we then manifest different kind of behaviours. So in order to shape or maintain inclusion.
So compromise what might be important to you, or any form of compromise just to make sure that you remain attached to the caregiver, which could be a parent or someone else or a teacher. So how because I guess to some extent, does anyone not experience that at some point? I think that'd be pretty rare, even in what would be considered a loving family. So no, major traumas. You know, the parent can't be available in the way that the kid wants. You know, the parent's got their own stuff, and this is, I guess, what we're thinking about here is this relationship we have with ourselves. So the relationship the parent's having with themselves, and how that comes through in their relationship with their child, which then is shaping the way the child is developing its relationship with itself, which is then bringing forward into the rest of their life and adulthood, usually without the awareness, because we just have one experience, right? We just know ourselves. So until it's raised in some shape or form through illness, or you have therapy, or I don't know, some spiritual guide, whatever it is, that realization that you don't have to go with these, what some call limiting beliefs. So it seems like it's unavoidable.
Yeah, and I guess to some degree it kind of is, because unless you have a parent that can tolerate their own emotions, it's going to be really hard to tolerate someone else's. And kind of what I mean by that, or a classic example of that, is being quite solution focused. If you think about a teenager has their first heartbreak, and their experience of that is that their entire world is shattered. They had these deep connected feelings for somebody else, and now that's gone. It's been ripped away, and their heart is shattered. That can be a really painful experience. And for a parent or an adult sitting with that can be really painful, because especially when it's your child, you feel their suffering. What they need in that moment is not often what you think, because we often come in with this sense of, I need to distract them or find a solution, or it's okay, it will all be fine, oh well, he's an idiot anyway, whatever it is that you kind of do to pacify or to reduce the suffering. But if you do a bit of a U-turn and bring it back to you, in that moment, what you're really ultimately trying to do is reduce their suffering so that you're not suffering. Because if the feeling is so uncomfortable to me to be in relationship with you when you are suffering, if that brings up such uncomfortability for me, I'm not going to be able to be there in the way that you need. So what I'm going to do is try and shut that down as quickly as possible. I often see kids that are like crying, for example, and if you can't tolerate emotion like that, sadness and tears, or sometimes we cry when we're angry, so tears don't always mean sadness. But if we're with someone and that's what they're expressing, if we find that intolerable because it wasn't our experience that it was welcomed, then I'm going to tell you to be quiet. Or I'm going to try and shut that down as quickly as possible so that I can return to my regulated state. Because I'm dysregulated, I'm out of sorts, I can't tolerate this feeling. in relationship with you when you have that feeling. So having that conversation, okay, so this is another important conversation that might matter, is to be able to notice what's going on for you and be able to feed that back. It doesn't mean that just because you're having that feeling you need to push it away or pretend like you're not having it, but you can just offer that up. So I can see this is really hard for you. Like I can feel the pain, like your heart's breaking. There's a part of me that's come up, and I notice a part of me just wants to rescue you from that. Or there's a part of me that feels deeply sad and torn. My heart's hurting. Sat here in relationship with you, my heart is hurting. So you're just noticing it, and then you're bringing a humanity to it as well, because this is a human experience. Not trying to pretend that it's not happening for you, that you're kind of robotic and you don't have these feelings. But it's just like, what do you need from me right now? Do you want me to just sit with you? Can I sit in silence with you? Do you need something physical, like a hug or a warm blanket? Do you need food? You know, what is it that you need from me in order for me to help regulate your nervous system? Because this is co-regulation, right? Because if I'm regulated, that will naturally regulate your system. What happens sometimes for children is that they end up having to regulate the parent.
Make some kind of compromise on their own needs.
So, perhaps. A child is not safe if their parent isn't regulated, because they're the ones that they're depending on for their needs to be met, their survival. So if you're kind of out of the game because something's going on for you, I can't survive. I need you to be here and with it. Kids learn then to regulate their nervous systems is false. It's not real regulation, because real regulation requires the emotion that they first had to be accepted and integrated. But it's this sense of, okay, I need to get rid of this feeling. So that might mean numbness, dissociation, or just shut it out. And I need to just be in this kind of calmer state so that you as my parent are now going to calm down.
And that's what you mean by regulation?
Co-regulation.
Okay.
So my experience will regulate your experience. And vice versa. So if you come to me, your energy is quite volatile. So you have, maybe you're displaying more aggression. I think it's important to differentiate between anger and aggression. Anger is the emotion, the feeling. Aggression is the behaviour. So if you're being quite aggressive, I might then respond, right? Because I might perceive that as an attack. And as the saying goes, the best form of defence is attack. So if you're coming at me with an attack, what am I going to do? I'm going to try and defend myself by attacking back. So now we're escalating. Whereas if I stayed calm and grounded, you're more likely to de-escalate. Your nervous system's going to kind of come back into a more regulated state.
So that's you regulating you
to regulate
to regulate me. So
So
regulation it sounds like something that you do. It's like a skill. It's something that you can learn and develop.
Well, I think this is, and I guess I'm drawing on internal family systems, so IFS, for people that don't know that, it is like a modality of therapy. But in that modality, we have what we call a self energy. If you can kind of occupy that space in yourself more often and become more familiar with it, there's a whole process to that. But that essentially brings a sense of groundedness and a calmness and a confidence and just a clarity that is contagious. It's, if I'm in my self-energy, you will see that kind of bleed out into the ether, and it will impact on people around you, even without doing anything. And it helps them access more of their self-energy. I don't know if that really makes sense, or if it makes sense to me, because I know what I mean, but...
Yeah, it does. It makes sense, because obviously we've talked a lot about IFS. But I think for people who are not familiar, they might be wondering what you mean by self, or perhaps an example of the quality of that. That's what perhaps we'll call a state. Can you say more about the self and how perhaps it may feel, or even how you'd access it.
So I guess in terms of IFS and the self, think about having multiple parts to us. So our personality, there are multiple kind of aspects of that. So who you are in the therapy room or your clinic room might bring a different part of you forward than if you were sat in the pub with your mates.
Yeah.
You know, and that might be a different part of you. And so we all have kind of these different parts of us, and they exist in their roles for different reasons. And so getting to know what is a part of me and what is just me. So sometimes with clients, when they're talking about, you know, this is what's going on for me, or this is happening, or this is coming up, you know, and I'll just get them to check inside. So encouraging people to kind of go inwards and just check out, like, is this me or is this a part of me? And one of the ways of kind of establishing if it's a part, it will always be kind of doing, like, it will have a role. Yeah. Unless it's a wound, which is what we would call an exile. Yeah. The first example that we used, it was I'm not good enough. Yeah. That would be, you know, that's like a wound. Yeah. That a part is now trying to manage. So the part that makes you work harder or become a bit of a workaholic, we would kind of refer to that as a manager. So it's a part of you that is trying to prevent that wound from overwhelming the system, the internal system. So it goes above and beyond to try and make sure that that thing over there doesn't come too much. And people will poke that wound.
Well, as in other people in what they might say or do. So triggers, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember that when we're talking about parts, they will only view, or they can only view the world through the beliefs that they carry. So, for example, if that part, that wound is I'm not good enough, then when something shows up in life that kind of pokes on that a little bit, that part of you will pop up quite strongly and be like, I told you. Knew you weren't good enough.
So that's the conversation with oneself.
Right.
This is how I'm relating to myself now. I've got this belief or this part or this thought that I'm not good enough, and then someone said something to essentially reinforce it.
Right.
And they may even be talking about themselves. They may not be talking about you at all. So if you're with perhaps a client or a loved one, any conversation really, they have no intent. You know, what they're saying is innocuous really to you, but because you have that wound from way back, they have inadvertently brushed up against it or even prodded it quite firmly. And now that voice is coming up, or that part's coming up, and that's what can obscure you or remove you perhaps from being connected or present.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And so then that conversation that you're having with yourself or internally, that dialogue, I knew you weren't good enough. I told you you'd screw it up. Yeah. This always happens to you. Yeah. The world's against you. You know, whatever it is that comes up internally for you, that dialogue, that will impact on then the conversations or the way that you show up in the world. So it kind of goes back to that, the way that you show up in the world will impact on the way the world shows up for you. Yeah. The conversations you have internally will impact on the conversations you have with the outside.
Yeah. So you see the world as you are, not as it is. That's a famous quote. And that makes sense, because at the end of the day, you know, our own experiences are ours. Right? It's my systems generating this experience. No, there's nothing outside. There's nothing external to generate what's going on. It's all about the inner engineering and what is happening and how it's been shaped. Yeah. And the wounds that I might carry from childhood. I think that message is out there quite a lot and sort of used to sort of explain what's going on now, and seems to always have some kind of influence. I guess what we're trying to establish is, you know, how much influence, whether it's those beliefs are helpful in growth or not, or somehow impacting on my experience of the world, but also my health, you know, take it to that level. If I'm repeatedly identifying with those thoughts as if they're me rather than noticing them or observing them, then I'm essentially living that. And my biology is, all of this is real. These are all real experiences that come as one. So the biology is shaping that. And if you've got those kinds of beliefs running, then your biology is much more likely to be inflammatory. That's right the way through. Then shaping your ongoing experiences. So now you're caught in circular causality until essentially you heal those wounds.
The way that I always kind of describe wounds to people, because wound, when you say the word wound, it does have quite a visual representation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so I think of our emotional wounding just like, you would a physical wounding. So you kind of think, you imagine if someone's just taken a knife and gashed your arm open. And as a child, you don't have the skill set to then clean that wound and stitch it. You are relying on an adult to do that, to help heal that wound. You need the right conditions. As kids, because we don't often have those conditions available, we just wrap it, shove a bandage around it, wrap it up, put it under our clothes. No one knows it's there. All the while it's just kind of festering and getting infected. And so the wound itself is still there, it's just nobody can really see it. So when you're in a supermarket and someone just brushes past it, it hurts. Like it has the power to really put you to your knees. And this other person doesn't know that they've just... So this is where our, if we relate that then to emotional reactions. So if someone brushes past a wound that they're not aware of, and you respond from this place of pain, they don't line up. So the other person's kind of left thinking that your reaction isn't appropriate to what has just happened. Like, I've literally just brushed past you. Apologies.
But they've reacted strongly.
Like, I mean, an extreme example of that, if we want to put it into this analogy, I never know if analogy or metaphor is the right word, but either way, if you want to put it into this scenario, someone's brushed past you in the supermarket and you've turned around and punched them in the face. And they're kind of thinking, blimey, what on earth has just happened? Like, I bumped into you, I'm really sorry. I don't think I deserved a punch in the face for it. And so that's I guess what we would call, or it's a bit of a buzzword, isn't it, but triggers. So someone's triggered you and you've responded from that place of wounding. So from the pain, the physical pain, because emotional pain is physical pain.
Pain hurts.
Right? And so we experience pain and we respond from that place of pain.
So we're identifying with it. We're now that.
We are now blended with that
pain. That's my reality, even though it's not the reality. That's my reality.
And it's not in that moment, because that sensation is so strong. It's really hard to say there is a part of me that's feeling pain, in pain, or there is a part of me that is wounded and suffering. We become blended with that, and then we just are in the experience, and then we are responding to the world from that place of experience, rather than I'm noticing that you brushing past me in the supermarket, or what you've just said to me has really affected or touched on an old wound, or there's a part of me that's feeling really angry or painful or sad, which means that you're still in self. I guess this is the separation, because I'm me, but I recognise there's a part of me that's having a different experience.
So that's the self. This is being in the state of self.
Is being able to be able to see what's happening almost, or be able to recognise that this isn't all of me, but there is a very strong part of me right now that's having this experience. And sometimes we have to practice or be familiar with that process of being able to see that and notice it. Because often what happens is we blend with it, and then we're just in it. And now I'm just mad at you, and I'm angry, or I'm just overwhelmed with sadness. And I'm in a state of despair, because that's what I felt back then. And that wounded part of me is stuck in time. So it doesn't know that I'm now, 40 and a parent. It just knows that that this has been with me for a long time, and it thinks I'm still 4.
So in a sense, from that part's perspective, it's that's normal, because there's a lot of language around, you know, things being wrong. There's something wrong with me. It's maladaptive. There's a problem in my wiring. All of this stuff, and I listen to what people say around that, but I also like to encourage them to look at another perspective, that maybe there isn't something wrong at all. Maybe there isn't anything that needs fixing. These are your systems coping or responding or even reacting to what is believed to be true. So the experience you're having is the one you're having. There's no I should be having some other experience, or I should be better, or I shouldn't have this pain. No, it's there for a reason. And it's right, it's appropriate, because it's showing you where to transform, where to grow. And as a human, right the way through our lives, it seems that we need to be growing, you know, right, and even perhaps at the end of our life, this sort of version of life, that's another step of growth into death. I mean, that's probably a whole nother conversation. But just this point that there is this continual opportunity to grow and to transform, because life is turning up for us to show us where that is, and those painful bits then become the gateway to that. You know, that's not the end result. Pain just to be for whatever the true causes are for that person. It's not just something to be gotten rid of or killed by a painkiller. It's there as a message. It's there to show you something.
Well, I think that it's really important that we give that message to people, that there is nothing wrong with you. You're not faulty. It's not a fault. There is no judgment or opinion on what you're experiencing. Your experiencing is yours. Like, I don't know how you experience the world unless you tell me. So this is where conversations come in, and communication is really important, because I want to know what it's like to be you. I want to know your experience, because I can't know it unless you tell me it. And so to give people that message, especially in the work that we do, they often come in feeling broken. You know, that kind of thing, like I'm damaged or I'm broken and I need fixing. And if you can just reframe that, or give a different perspective on that, it's not that you're broken or that you're faulty or that there is anything wrong with you. Your system has adapted to your life experiences. And so one of the most powerful questions that you can ask in that situation is, given your life experience, given that XYZ has been your experience of the world so far, does it make sense to you that a part of you would be feeling this way? Does that make sense to you? And often, you know, because we take it out of context, it's like, I'm experiencing this thing but nobody else is, or I shouldn't be experiencing that. We're passing judgment because I've had a really great upbringing, or I went to all the best schools, and I had all of this privilege, so I shouldn't be feeling this, or I shouldn't have this experience. Given, you know, those life experiences, when you really dig down into it and you get into the emotional aspect of it and highlight those wounds, does it make sense to you that part of you would be feeling that way? Or does it make sense to you that your systems would be generating pain? And if they can then look at that and even just go, well, actually, it makes sense to me given the context, there's nothing wrong with you then.
Making sense of their story.
Right, there's nothing wrong with you. Your system is just responding to an abnormal set of experiences, or experiences that have happened that you would have liked to have been different. So are they abnormal, or are they just things that happen? There are things that, I would say there are things that happened that you wished would have been different. Or that what you needed at the time you didn't get. I needed love, support, safety. I needed holding, and I didn't get that. So my system's now responding from that place of absence. You know, it's missing something. So my system's now responding to that absence. This conversation could go on and on and on.
Well, that's what we're going to do, isn't it? We're going to explore it in lots of different ways, from different angles, looking at different aspects.
So I think probably for this episode, we should probably just leave it there. Otherwise, people are going to be listening for days.
Yeah.
But it gives a flavour of the type of discussions and conversations that we're going to have.
There's a lot to talk about, and of course we're going to try and bring the practical elements, so people can take away key messages and things that they can put into practice in their world. Absolutely. Whether they be coaches, therapists, teachers, managers, leaders. Because everything's relational. There's always a context, and the more you can understand that and take these skills from what we do into everyday life, I think that will help people to thrive.
Absolutely, yeah. We look forward to talking more.
Yeah, the journey onwards.
Yeah.
Brilliant.